In 2023, Nintendo shut down its digital store for 3DS, meaning all of the 3DS digital games became officially unavailable. The 3DS library in Europe was by far the hardest hit by this decision. So here are all the notable European releases which were affected. Various 3DS games were sold in Europe without a physical release. Or rather, other regions had them in stores, but we only got them online. At the same time, the 3DS device had a region lock, preventing imports, so Europe could only access them through the eShop. Among them, the fourth part of the JRPG Demon Saga Shin Megami Tensei, which is now more known for its spin-off Persona. The add-on story Shin Megami Tensei 4 Apocalypse came physical again, but was an entirely different and weaker game. The iconic crime and courtroom visual novel Ace Attorney only got physical releases on 3DS in Japan. The first trilogy has been milked many times with ports, but not the 3DS sequels 5 and 6, which also benefited nicely from the device's 3D effect. Gildo 1 was a collection of small experimental titles from well-known Japanese designers. Instead of a collection, we got individual digital releases, all more or less worth playing. I would highly recommend Crimson Shroud by the creator of Final Fantasy Tactics, which mixes JRPG with visual novel and tabletop, as well as terrific music. You roll the dice for hit chances, etc. on the touchpad itself. From niche cult director Suda51 there was a 3D shoot 'em up with an amusing story. A high school girl becomes president and fights terrorists in a mech. In Weapon Shop de Omas, you forge weapons for role-playing adventurers. It's a bit thin gameplay-wise, but it's fun enough for the novelty factor. Attack of the Friday Monsters brings a bit of Studio Ghibli atmosphere as a roughly 3-hour adventure game. The Starship Damre is an atmospheric puzzle tile with a nice ending. There was also an airport simulation called Aeroporter, and from the old Mega Man producer, a tank combat game called Bugs vs. Tanks. The first Sega 3D collection still came physically, the rest digitally. Yet the first collection was missing big classics like Outrun, Streets of Rage 2, Shinobi 3 or Gunstar Heroes. The ports were not only adapted to the device with very nice 3D effects, they also got completely new game modes. By the way, there were a few ports from Nintendo as well, like Kirby's Adventure and Kid Icarus. The River City series was revived by indie developer Way Forward as River City Girls. But 3DS still got spin-offs from the original series, with River City Rival Showdown, Tokyo Rumble and Knights of Justice. Over here only on the eShop. In Europe, the Zero Escape series only got a second game via retail. The final third installment, Zero Time Dilemma, is controversial for a reason, but those who understandably still wanted to play it could only do so digitally. At least it also came to Steam and Vita, not just 3DS. The JRPG Farming and Life Simulation Rune Factory also came to us digitally with Part 4. Granted, an expanded version came to the Switch, but the unaltered original remains on 3DS. Speaking of which, the Harvest Moon spin-off crossover called Return to Popular Cra Story of Seasons also eluded us outside of the eShop. In addition, Nintendo went extreme with new IPs on 3DS that they developed specifically for the online service, including multiple trilogies. The first was the puzzle series Pull Blocks. The aim was to build ladders to the top within large patterns by pulling bars outwards up to 3 times. The successor Full Blocks was released on 3DS, the final sequel moved to Wii U. Coming fully to 3DS however, was the second puzzle trilogy called Box Boy. You solve side-scrolling puzzles with a boxman that can stretch into Tetris-like blocks. Dylan's Western was a tower defense trilogy with real-time action gameplay and Wild West animal mascots. Only the final third game was available physically. The strangest trilogy was Denperman. In this augmented reality game you collected role-playing figurines based on nearby Wi-Fi spots, which makes it questionable how long these games will still work, admittedly. There were 3 minigames in the Kirby game Planet Robobot that received extra campaigns in the eShop. Kirby Blowout Blast and DDD's Drum Dash Deluxe stayed on 3DS. Only the Smash Bros. Clone, Kirby Fighters, was ported to Switch. And not to forget, without online functionality, the final campaign of Fire Emblem Fates goes down the drain because you had to make a download after completing both games. Also quite decent were many singular releases, like the Dr. Mario spin-off Miracle Cure, the skill course Splash or Crash, the simple soccer simulation Nintendo Pocket Football Club, the Punch-Out-esque sword fighting game Hana Samurai, several 3D spin-offs of the logic puzzle series Picross, the motion control skill test Hydro Venture, the first-person submarine simulation and the sequel to the launch game Steel Diver, the sadly discontinued prelude to a Hotel Dusk reboot called Chase Cold Case Investigations, the Cartoon Maker program called Flipnote Studio, the written platformer from the Pokemon makers Harmon Knight, or the poker arcade mix Pocket Card Jockey. Last but not least, Game Boy. Cartridges still circulate, but often require soldering to swap out batteries for memory functionality. 3DS on the other hand had the largest bundled selection of digital Game Boy games via official emulation. The third-party offerings were never outstanding, with exceptions like Gargoyle's Quest, but Nintendo had all the great classics, from the original Zelda Link's Awakening, Oracle of Seasons and Ages to Pokemon Red, Blue, Silver, Gold in the trading card game, to Donkey Kong 94, as well as the Super Mario Land and Wario Land series. 3DS thus followed the Wii. There too Nintendo shut down the online store, and with it several exclusive games and easily available retro games. Thus illegal emulation has to do preservation, which in turn is pursued by companies like Nintendo. But that's not what this video is about. It primarily serves as an overview of what was lost on European 3DS systems specifically.